number of equivalents of A will be equal to B, number of equivalents of C and number of equivalent of D. This is for a chemical reaction. Okay. In generally, when we talk about molecular mass, the other day I told you that Mg3N2, for example, if I were asked you, write the molecular weight of that molecule, what do? We take this 3, multiply with the atomic mass plus 2 into atomic mass, total we get it as 76. This is the molecular mass of this molecule. We are basically multiplying that with these numbers with their atomic masses. But if I ask you equivalent mass of Mg3O2, Mg3N2, then you do not multiply any such numbers. Simply we write it as equivalent mass of magnesium plus equivalent mass of nitrogen. That's simple. Okay. For equivalent masses, we would not have any uh, we wouldn't have to worry about what is this x and y here. We just have to add up all the equivalent masses. And then I told what are the types of reactions. Generally, a reaction can be categorized into redox kind or a non-redox kind. Redox reaction is one where oxidation is happening, and the oxidation as well as reduction is taking place simultaneously. What we see that in redox reaction, electron transfer will always take place. Either it is moving away from the species or it is coming to the species. In generic, if at all I write it, think about it, there is some element M and it is changing its oxidation state to once plus 1, changing to plus 2, changing to plus 3. So the value is increasing in the positive scale. In case if it is going this way and becoming M minus 1, M minus 2, this is decreasing in the negative scale. What we say, when it is M, from M in this direction, the positive charge is increasing, means it is losing electrons. So when electrons are lost, we call it as oxidation. And on the other side, if you see, here electrons are gained. So when electrons are gained, we call M is undergoing reduction. Clear? So when M undergoes uh, oxidation, which means the numerical value is increasing. If M is undergoing reduction, the numerical value decreases and go towards the negative scale. Okay. And this is what exactly happens in a redox reaction. Electron keeps transferring either by losing or by gaining. Let me show you with an example. If you have MnO4 minus and it is being treated with Fe plus 2, MnO4 minus treated with Fe plus 2, it is converting into Fe plus 3 and Mn plus 2. This is what we have learned yesterday. The oxidation state of this is plus 7. Okay. Let me show you once again. Amal, check it out. Consider for manganese as X. And there are 4 oxygens and every oxygen possesses minus 2 charge. Overall charge is given as minus 1. So the oxidation state of manganese here is plus 7. From plus 7, it is going towards plus 2, which means it must have gained electrons. Then only the value is decreasing. If it is gaining electrons, we call it is undergoing reduction. So we say MnO4 minus is undergoing reduction to give Mn plus 2. On the other hand, iron is plus 2 and here it is plus 3. So number is increasing, which means it is losing out electron and undergoing oxidation. So this is undergoing oxidation. A redox reaction is such where there is oxidation and reduction happening simultaneously. So we can say that this is one of the examples of redox reaction. On the other hand, when I talk about non-redox reactions, in non-redox reactions, the oxidation state of every element should remain same. It should not change, whether it is on the reactant side or whether it is on the product side. Few examples, if you see, precipitation reactions like AgNO3 plus KCl becoming a precipitate AgCl and KNO3. Here only double displacement has taken place. K has come here, Ag plus has come here. This is also called double displacement. Due to double displacement, this has undergone precipitation. There is no electron transfer involved here. There are a few cases where there is only color change happening, but the oxidation state is remaining same. They are also non-redox. And acid-base reactions, where acid and base are reacting to give salt and water, that is also non-redox reactions. Here, everybody. So these are the main differences we have learned. So three major terms, Amal. One is how to find out oxidation state. Second, uh, second is what is an equivalent mass, what are equivalents, and third part we touched is what are redox reactions and what are non-redox reactions. Now, starting from here, now what we will do, we will try to find out the N factor for non-redox reaction. See, when it comes to uh, N factor, we have seen that where do we encounter this N factor? We see this as when we calculate equivalent weight, which is equal to molecular weight by N factor. This is where we'll encounter with N factor. The other place where you will see is number of equivalents is equal to number of moles into N factor. These are the two places where we will see what is an N factor exactly. Now we can say that N factor of any element is always equal to its valency, which means, for instance, if you see these examples, SO4 has -2 charge on it, so we can say its N factor is 2 itself. Carbonate has 2 minus charge, we can say N factor is 2. And one thing, N factor is always a positive term. Okay. OH minus has -1, we can say its N factor is 1. NH4 plus 1. PO4 3 minus N factor is 3. So N factor of any non-redox ion is always the charge on the ion itself. So we can say that that is the N factor. So if I were to ask you what is the equivalent weight of SO4 2 minus as an example. So what do we say? It is molecular weight by 2. Molecular weight of SO4 2 minus is 96 by 2. Similarly, if I ask you what is the equivalent weight of ammonium, we'll say this is molecular weight, whatever the overall molecular weight, that is divided by 1. So in this case, it is NH4 plus, which means 18 by 1. This way, you can calculate the equivalent weight of a salt ion, any ion which is given to you. I guess this point is clear to everybody. That is for a simple ion. Now, how do we calculate N factor for acids? For acids, we always check out how many replaceable H plus are present, which means, for instance, if we take HCl, we know that HCl will always give one H plus and Cl minus. So the number of H plus it is giving will become its N factor. So if it is giving one H plus, we say the N factor of HCl is 1. If it is H2SO4, we say the N factor is 2. If it is H3PO4, we say N factor is 3. Generally, that is how we will say it. Okay. But if it is given in a chemical reaction, we need to check whether they have actually lost out those those hydrogens or not. In H2SO4, you can see both these hydrogens have been replaced by sodium. So both hydrogens got replaced. I can say now the N factor of, now I can say the N factor of H2SO4 is 2. Similarly, here if you see the N factor of H3PO4, here there are two hydrogens remained in this. Only one hydrogen is involved and one sodium got exchanged. So here the N factor is 1. And here if you look at it, out of these 3 hydrogens, 2 hydrogens were replaced by sodium. So we can say the N factor in this case is 2. So N factor also depends upon the nature of the reaction. In the reaction, if there is only one H plus is been involved, we will say the N factor is only 1. If there are 2 involved, we'll say the N factor is 2 and so on. Clear? So, for instance, like as there is always a controversy, students, get confused that, sir, what should we take H3PO4's n factor? Because it is coming as 1 sometimes, it is coming as 2 sometimes, the maximum it can give is 3 sometimes, right? If nothing, no chemical reaction is mentioned, you will always take it as 3. The highest amount of the maximum number of H plus they can lose. That would be the valency factor or N factor. I guess that point is clear to everyone. So we will look at based upon the nature, based upon the type. Okay. Done? Everybody understood that? Yeah. Now, based on this, see here, we just have to calculate what is the N factor, and based on the N factor, we have to write their equivalent mass. Just write equivalent mass as like this, m by 2, because it will replace 2 of the hydrogens here. Similarly, I can write it as m by 3 maximum, because chemical reaction is not given, I will take it as maximum. Clear? Now, if you see the next two, H3PO3 and H3PO2, it appears like this also has 3 hydrogens. But unfortunately, not all hydrogens are binded with oxygen. See, in case of H3PO4, all of these hydrogens are highly polarized. Polarized means they are connected to oxygen, so they are highly acidic. While here in H3PO3, only these two hydrogens are connected. The other hydrogen here, which is present, this is connected directly to phosphorus. So this is not sufficiently polarized and this is not acidic. These two hydrogens are acidic. Similarly, when it comes to H3PO2, only this hydrogen is acidic, which means the maximum hydrogen H3PO4 can lose is 3, while maximum hydrogens H3PO3 can lose is only 2. The maximum hydrogens this H3PO2 can lose is only 1. So it is 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. This is the valencies of this respective acids. So here in this case it is m by 2, here it is m by 1. I suppose that is clear, everyone. So remember, these three are special cases because it appears like all three hydrogens are involved, but it is not. Okay. Right. Next, H2C2O4, oxalic acid. In oxalic acid, all of these, both these two hydrogens are involved, and both of them are acidic in nature. So accordingly, you can use it. Here, everybody. Sorry. Hmm. Next, let us see about citric acid. Citric acid, if you check out the structure, how does it look like? Citric acid will have a structure where you have COOH on one side, COOH on one side. Then we have CH, OH here, and one more COOH here. Clear? Oh, sorry, I forgot one methyl is present in between them, like this. COOH is present here, and one more COOH is present here, this way. So you can see there are 3 OH groups present on it. So here, this hydrogen is polarized, this hydrogen as well as this hydrogen. So all these 3 hydrogens can be replaced. So we can say citric acid, it is M by 3. Your question would be, sir, should we learn this citric acid structure? It will be better if you could learn it, because going ahead in organic, you will keep coming across this. So know that it has 3 COOH groups and these 3 hydrogens can be replaced. And in HCl, only one hydrogen is present. So M by 1. Here also one hydrogen is present. Here also one hydrogen is present. Although this is a salt, it still has this hydrogen to lose, correct? And that is acidic. Here also, although Na2HPO4, one hydrogen is still there. So this will also be M by 1. So this is how we would find the equivalent weight, or if the question was about valency factor, we know what is the N factor or what is the valency factor in this. That Amal, any doubt, beta?
No doubt, sir.
Aradhya, Athar, Mayank?
No doubt, sir.
Okay. In case of bases, beta, that was about acids. Suppose if you were to calculate n factor for bases, you would only check out how many OH minus we can replace. For instance, AlOH thrice if you react with HCl and it is losing one OH. So I can say here that the N factor for AlOH thrice in this reaction is 1. Okay. Same way, if this is reacting with 2 moles of HCl and it is releasing, it is losing 2 OH and 2 OH are replaced by chlorine. In such case, the N factor or the valency factor is 2. If all the OH are losing out, lost, then the valency factor for AlOH thrice is 3 in this case. So that's how we would find the valency factor in case of bases. Now there is one simple shortcut which will really help us to understand valency factor in all the cases. Suppose if you are able to somehow, or rather for simple equations, we are able to somehow balance the equations like H2SO4 plus 2 NaOH giving Na2SO4 plus 2 H2O. This is a balanced chemical equation. And this is a non-redox. You can see it is an acid-base reaction. So in acid-base reaction, you will see the N factor for H2SO4. We know already that it is 2 as both the hydrogens are replaced by sodium. But imagine you don't know about this, you don't know about this, you don't know about this. So when you do not know what is the valency factor for NaOH, Na2SO4 or H2O, in that case what you do, right? At least you know one of them, correct? That valency factor divided by, the number of atoms, the number of moles it has here. So N factor by 1 here, N factor by 2, N factor by 1 here, it is N factor by 2. So this is the N factor of H2SO4, which is 2 2 2 2 divided by 1 divided by 2 divided by 1 divided by 2. So these are the N factors of all of the elements H2SO4 compounds. That is, for H2SO4 it is 2, for NaOH it is 1, for Na2SO4 it is 2, for H2O it is 1. This really helps in problem solving. So make sure when you know at least one of the valency factor, then make a balanced equation first, and then you can get to know what is the N factor in all the cases. Here everyone? Right. So we discussed two things, beta. N factor in case of acids, N factor in case of bases. What about salts? N factor in the case of salts will be equal to total positive charge which is displaced from the salt per stoichiometric coefficient of salt. For example, if I take NaCl. So if I take 1 mole of NaCl, in 1 mole of NaCl, how many Na plus, how much is the total charge of positive ions which is coming? So we have 1 Na plus, which means there is one positive charge here, and 1 AlCl3. How much positive charge it has? 3. So I would say the N factor for NaCl here is 1, and I write N factor for AlCl3 here is 3, because the total positive charge is 3. You can take either total negative charge or positive charge, but since N factor is positive term, it's better to always take a reference with positive charge. You can see this question here, how it is related with one another. K4FeCN6, no, you can see, plus ZnCl2 is giving this plus KCl. Now, what I know that out of 4 potassiums, 2 potassiums were replaced by zinc. So all I know that since 2 potassiums are replaced, the N factor for this compound is 2. But imagine I do not know about others. So first thing I'll check out is whether it is a balanced equation or not. So there are 4 potassiums here, 2 potassiums here, and 2 potassiums here. So which is perfectly balanced. 2 chlorines, 2 chlorines, balanced. One zinc, balanced. Rest all is same. So it is a balanced equation. In such case, what do? We again take the same n factor divided by the coefficients 2 by 1, 2 by 2. So now n factor for all of them will be how much? 2, 2, 2 and 1. So the n factor for this compound in this reaction is 2. Have you all got that? Right. Let us try the next one. Okay. You don't have to write all the question, just put it on the chat box, everybody. So this is the first one. Check out the second one. What should be their coefficients? Third one, fourth one. I want their n factors, not coefficients, n factors. क्योंकि मैंने वैसे तो balance कर दिया. Check out what is the n factor in all these four cases. Just put the answers on the chat box, like what should be the n factor for 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me show you again. There are 4 potassiums here, beta. All 4 are replaced by zinc, which means इसका n factor क्या होना चाहिए? 4. So n factor for this case is 4. So if right, Arati, 4, and here we have 2, which means I'll divide 4 by 2 here, 4 by 1 here, 4 by 4 here. So what do we have? So the n factor for all of them, if you see, 4, 2, 4, 1. So these are the n factors of all of the molecules, both reactants and products. Think in the same lines for the second one. Go with the known one. The second one is known to us, right? All potassiums are being replaced by copper. One, two, two, one. Others? Why it's taking time? Mike? Any problem,
सर
beta?
जस्ट a minute, वो थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है, वही फिगर आउट कर रहा हूँ.
पहले के दो कुछ प्रॉब्लम है क्या? समझा नहीं.
नहीं सर, वो समझा, वो मेरा कुछ मिस्टेक हो रहा है, मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है, वही देख रहा हूँ.
ओके. यहाँ पे 4 पोटेशियम से 4 को 4 आपने रिप्लेस किया यहाँ पर, तो सोचिए इसका n फैक्टर क्या होना चाहिए? 4 होना चाहिए ना. सो अगर इसका n फैक्टर 4 है तो बाकी वाले टर्म को फोर्स जितने उनके कोफिशिएंट्स उससे डिवाइड कर दो. 4/1, 4/2. सो अभी देखो n फैक्टर सबके लिए क्या होगा? 2, 4, 4, 2 होगा. ये होगा n फैक्टर्स. आराध्या, यू गॉट दैट बेटा? उसको कोई एम्पिरिकल फॉर्म में मत लेके आओ. दिस इज द n फैक्टर. 1 नहीं हो सकता. ठीक है. Right. See the fourth one now. Amal, you got these first 3 beta. Amal, are you there? अथर्व?
यस सर।
ये फर्स्ट 3 आ गए?
हाँ सर, वो सेकंड वाले में एक प्रॉब्लम था बस वो।
क्लियर है अभी?
हाँ सर।
ओके, चलो फोर्थ वाला चेक करते हैं। पहले तो ये बैलेंस्ड है, राइट? नेक्स्ट, अब कहाँ से स्टार्ट करें? प्रॉब्लम है हम लोग किस एंड से स्टार्ट करें ताकि हम लोग को पता चले कि कितने टोटल नंबर ऑफ आयंस यहाँ से निकले हैं। ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे देखो, फर्स्ट फर्स्ट तो हम लोग लिखेंगे 3 मोल्स के लिए। टोटल कितने पोटेशियम्स थे यहाँ पर? 3 4 12, 12 पोटेशियम्स थे। अब 12 पोटेशियम्स कितने सारे के सारे आयरन से रिप्लेस हो चुके हैं, है ना? सो 12 के 12 पोटेशियम्स रिप्लेस हो चुके हैं आयरन के साथ। सो यहाँ पर क्या होना चाहिए बेटा? 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 3, बिकॉज उसके कोफिशिएंट से डिवाइड भी तो करना पड़ेगा। सो 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 3। सो अभी एन फैक्टर क्या होगा बताओ? 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 3 है, डिवाइडेड बाय 4 भी करना पड़ेगा, और यहाँ पर भी 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 3 है, डिवाइडेड बाय 1 भी करना पड़ेगा। यहाँ पर 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 3 है और डिवाइडेड बाय 12 करना पड़ेगा। यहाँ तक पॉइंट क्लियर है? ओके, 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 3 है, राइट? सॉरी, ये डिवाइड में 3 क्यों कर रहा हूँ? 3 नहीं, सिर्फ उसके फैक्टर से डिवाइड करना है ना। यहाँ पर 12 आया, 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 3, यहाँ पर 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 4, 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 1, 12 डिवाइडेड बाय 12। हाँ बेटा, सॉरी यार आदित्य, गॉट दैट। So you can see that 3, this is 4, this is 12, and this is 1. Now why 12 by 3? Look at it. There are 12 potassiums here in the balanced equation, and all 12 was replaced here, जो कि यहाँ पे clearly दिख रहा है 12 KCl बन के। मतलब ये मॉलिक्यूल में से 12 के 12 पोटेशियम्स रिप्लेस्ड है, बट ऐसे कितने हैं? 3 है, सो डिवाइडेड बाय 3। ये हो गया उसका वैलेंसी फैक्टर। सो यहाँ पे 12 के 12 पोटेशियम रिप्लेस हुए, तो वही फैक्टर को उन बाकी के कोफिशिएंट से डिवाइड कर दो। 12 by 4, यहाँ पे 12 by 1, यहाँ पे 12 by 12, then you will get this as 3 4 12 1. So these are the valency factors for this n factors for this compounds. Important is this one, that the valency n factor for Fe4 FeCN6 thrice is 12. The valency factor or the n factor is 12. Last one. Correct, Arathi. Bagi sir. So you can see here, out of 4 potassiums, 3 has been replaced, 1 has been remained. तो हमको ये पता है ना, यहाँ पे 3 होना चाहिए. This has to be 3 by 1. This also has to be 3 by 1. This has to be 3 by 3. Simple है ये तो. So n factor here is 3, 3, 3 and 1. Amal, respond beta, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Please check this 5. If you have any problem, please ask right now.
I got it.
Okay. अथर्व बोलो बेटा, आगे सारे?
हाँ सर।
Okay. Before jumping into the questions now, let me take you one. basic idea about how to solve the questions related to this. You would be asked questions where you have some metal, first type, where there is some metal which is reacting with oxygen to form some metal oxide. You have to find out what is the equivalent weight of metal. This is a typical question. The information given will be either weight of oxygen and weight of metal. This is one. Or you will be given weight of metal oxide and weight of oxygen. This is the second thing. Or you can be given other ways also, metal and metal oxide also you can have. Or we can have weight of metal and weight of metal oxide. Like this, the information will be given and you have to evaluate what is the equivalent mass of the metal. So for such questions, what we will do here, see, for equivalent mass of metal here, first, let us take this case, weight of oxygen and weight of metal is given. So weight of oxygen is given, weight of metal is given. You can, once the weight is given here, we don't know what is the balanced equation because we are not aware about x and y. But all I know that oxygen will always be reacting, you know, with the equivalent weight as 8. क्यों? देखो, whenever there is O2, right, beta, O2 will try to convert itself into 2 times of O2 minus. It will get converted into oxide. Here also it is an oxide form where this oxygen is -2 charge. So here if you see what is the charge on oxygen, 0. While here on both the oxygens the charge is -4. So because one oxygen is -2, so two oxygens makes it -4. Which means it must have accepted 4 electrons, correct? So the number of electrons oxygen is accepting is always the valency factor or the N factor. So therefore, equivalent weight of oxygen will be equal to molecular weight of oxygen divided by 4, which is 32 divided by 4 comes out to be 8. इसी को हम लोग एज ए स्टैंडर्ड वैल्यू ले सकते हैं हर क्वेश्चन में. ये बार बार सॉल्व करना जरूरी नहीं है. जहां पर भी ऑक्सीजन दिखेगा we can directly take that the equivalent weight of oxygen is 8. I think this idea is clear. So since we know the equivalent weight of oxygen is 8, now how we can relate these three is we know that when it comes to number of equivalents, the number of equivalents of metal should be same as the number of equivalents of oxygen should be same as the number of equivalents of metal oxide. This is law of chemical equivalence. This is what we have just learned, that number of moles may be different, but the number of equivalents of reacting species and products will always be equal. So the number of equivalents of metal, I can write it as weight of metal divided by equivalent weight of metal, which is equal to weight of oxygen divided by equivalent weight of oxygen. And since we always know the equivalent weight of oxygen, from here I can write weight of metal is equal to equivalent weight of metal is equal to weight of metal by weight of oxygen into equivalent weight of oxygen, which is equal to equivalent weight of metal is equal to weight of metal by weight of oxygen into equivalent weight is 8. So this you can use it like a formula also whenever the oxide is present, or you can use it like a I mean you can easily derive it as long as you know we just have to equate the number of equivalents. So type 1 is clear, everybody? Any doubt here? Now suppose if this data is given, beta, metal oxide and oxygen, this data is given, you can do it in two ways. You know, any chemical equation will conserve its mass. So we can say the total mass of the metal oxide minus this oxide will be equal to mass of the metal. So instead of directly writing it as metal of the weight of the metal, I can write it as weight of metal oxide minus weight of oxygen divided by weight of oxygen into 8 when this data is given. Okay. Now imagine suppose oxygen and oxygen directly this information is given. I might use directly this information also. That is equivalent weight of this also I can write it as weight of metal oxide divided by equivalent weight of metal oxide is equal to weight of oxygen divided by equivalent weight of oxygen. Again, law of chemical equivalence. So just equating the number of equivalents of metal oxide is equal to number of equivalents of oxygen. So here I can write it as weight of metal oxide divided by equivalent weight of metal plus equivalent weight of oxygen is equal to weight of oxygen divided by equivalent weight of oxygen. And equivalent weight of oxygen I have already calculated, correct? See whether it is O2 or O, equivalent weight remains the same. It is always going to be 8. So therefore, weight of the metal oxide divided by E plus 8 is equal to weight of the oxygen divided by 8. From here we have to calculate what is E. Clear? So question कैसे भी दे दे आपको यही काम करने हैं आगे से सारे questions में. You just have to equate the number of equivalents and calculate the unknown, equivalent weight of metal. Aradhya, have you understood? Okay. Dubey, I mean Athar, usually.
Yes, sir.
Amal,
Yes, sir.
Mayank,
Yes, sir.
perfect. Now let us come to the question. We have to calculate the equivalent weight of aluminium in Al2O3 and carbon in CO2. So how do we do that, beta? So I'll show you one of them. So rest you can do that. Think like aluminium Al plus O2 is trying to make some AlXOY. Although we know what is this, but still imagine we don't know what is the oxide it is forming. So what will be the equivalent weight of aluminium? Suppose if I take 1 mole, you can take any moles, you can start with any W weight. If nothing is given, take it as 1 mole. If I take 1 mole of aluminium, 1 mole of aluminium means 27 grams. So we know that 27 grams of aluminium will react with 32 grams of oxygen. So we know the weight of metal, we know the weight of oxygen. So from here, I can simply write number of equivalents of aluminium is equal to number of equivalents of O2. Number of equivalents of aluminium can be written as weight of aluminium divided by equivalent weight of aluminium, which is equal to weight of oxygen divided by equivalent weight of oxygen. So what I can write, weight of aluminium is 27 divided by equivalent weight of aluminium is what I need to calculate. That is equal to 32 divided by 8, because we just fixed up that equivalent weight of oxygen will be 8. है ना? So from there, this goes 4 times. So equivalent weight of aluminium will be equal to, oh sorry, I messed up here. We have to balance this also, right? So this will become 3 by 2. Because when I'm taking the known amount, I should know what is the product form. If at all I take the known amount. If already there the information is given, then I don't have to worry about it. So then this has to be 3 by 2. Okay. So what it is, weight of this oxygen is 32 into 3 divided by 2 into equivalent weight of oxygen is 8. So this goes how many times, beta? 4 times. This goes 1 time. This goes 2 times. So equivalent weight of aluminium is equal to 27 divided by 3. And here it is 2 already. Forgot that 2 here. So that 2 will also get cancelled off. So that 2 on this side, on the product side, and this side also, the 2 will get cancelled off. So we will have equivalent weight of aluminum as 9. So this is one way. Okay, this is method number 1, where you can assume based on the balanced equation, you can assume what moles of this weight will have. For 2 moles, how much weight will have. For 3/2, how much weight will have. Based on that, you are calculating equivalent weight of aluminum. Or if you already know that this is aluminum and it is forming Al2O3, 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 we know that it represents 2Al plus 3 plus 3O2 minus. So the total charge on the aluminum is 6. So we can directly take this, that as the N factor. So the N factor for Al2O3 is 6. If N factor is 6, I can write equivalent weight uh, uh, of Al2O3 is equal to equivalent weight of aluminum plus equivalent weight of oxygen, right? Which is equal to mass. Equivalent weight can be written as molar mass divided by valency factor, which is 6. Molar mass of Al2O3 is how much? 2 into aluminum weight, which is 27, plus 3 into 16, that whole divided by 6. Clear? So I guess that is clear. So we can write this as how much? 2 into aluminum here. So I can divide it individually also, because you can see it goes more easily here. So 2 into 27 by 6 plus 3 into 16 by 6. So this goes 2 times. 2 will get cancelled. I'll get 9. And this 2 will get cancelled. I'll get 8. So this is coming as 9 plus 8. And what is the equivalent weight of oxygen beta? That is 8 only, right? So 8 will get cancelled. So what is the equivalent weight of aluminum? 9. Understood? So accordingly, you can solve it. Either you take it as this way or you take it as this way. It doesn't matter, as long as you know the balanced equation. In this cases, given cases, then you know what is the equivalent weight of that metal. Any doubt in solving there? Have you understood that? Yeah. See it for carbon dioxide. For carbon dioxide, we can write it as carbon plus O2 is giving CO2. If at all I write it same thing in terms of ions, it is like carbon with plus 4 and 2 oxygen with 2 minus. So equivalent weight of carbon dioxide can be written as equivalent weight of carbon plus equivalent weight of oxygen. And equivalent weight of carbon plus 8 is equal to molecular weight of carbon dioxide divided by valency factor, N factor. N factor is the charge what it possesses. How much charge it possesses, beta? 4. So I can take it as 4. So it is 44 divided by 4. So which is 11. So what is the equivalent weight of carbon in this case? 11 minus 8, which is 3. So this is the equivalent weight of carbon in this particular case. Have you understood that? Okay. Use this fundamental. Okay. I would suggest make a note of this. Next question, you have to do it now. Equivalent weight of metal is equal to weight of the metal by weight of oxygen into 8. Take that. Done. Just write the formula. Finished? Yeah. Now come to this question, read it and try it out. Equivalent weight of metal is double to that of oxygen. Equivalent weight of metal is double that of oxygen how many times its weight of its oxide is greater than that of weight of the metal present. Do that. Yeah. Right, Kian. Right, Mike. 1.5 times. Amal, correct. Are they just 1.5 times? See, you can write this as weight of metal oxide divided by equivalent weight of metal plus equivalent weight of oxygen is equal to weight of metal divided by equivalent weight of metal. Okay, so that is equal to weight of metal oxide divided by weight of metal is equal to equal weight of metal plus equivalent weight of oxygen divided by equivalent weight of metal. That's all we need to do. So this here said already, this is double, right? Double of this. If this is x, this will be 2x. So total it will be like 3x by em. So which is, sorry, by 2. So it is 3 by 2, which is 1.5. There. There you got that now. Okay. So I'm leaving another, two questions for you at this, till this point. This week you have to try the questions from PACE booklet also. Please take out some time. Not asking for too many. I'm asking like, if Sunday, if you're preparing for the major test, that's fine. Either on Sunday or Monday, read the entire content once.